Hello, and welcome back to A Little Less Lisa. If you are new here, my name is Lisa, and I am currently on a weight loss journey. I take compounded tirzepatide, which is the active ingredient in the name brand Mounjaro or Zepbound, if you are familiar with those. And I have been on my journey since March 28th. So I have just completed 13 weeks. If you are interested in how my journey has been and my weekly check-in kind of things, I do those. Those are generally videos that I release on Saturdays. So I will have up in the cards, I think over here, the link to that playlist if you want to go back and check out where I started and where I'm currently at. But this video is going to be all about telehealth companies and why I think that they are a really good option for a lot of people who are looking to get on a GLP-1 medication. So as a little bit of background, and I guess just to sort of level set how you can get these medications, etc., is you sort of have two different routes that you can go through. One is if you are only looking for one of the named brand medications, you can obviously go to your current primary care physician and talk to them about it. The other option is to go through a telehealth company. And like I said, we're going to talk today about why I think a telehealth company is a really good option, even if you do perhaps want to be on the name brand medication. So we'll get into those reasons. But I just also want to make an important point here. Two important points. The first, I should always make sure I say this, which is the classic disclaimer of that I am not a medical professional, I am not a doctor, I am not a nurse, I have no medical affiliation, so please know that these are my opinions and that you should always do your own research and, talk with your healthcare provider about any kind of medication that you might want to investigate. So that's number one. Number two, specifically as it relates to telehealth companies, is I want to make sure that we're talking about the same thing, okay? That we're all on the same page what we're talking about. I'm not talking about med spas. I'm not talking about maybe like a diet center kind of thing where you go in and you are a client and they're advertising, you come in and a lot of times they give you the injection, so you have to go in once a week, that kind of thing. A telehealth company is very different. A telehealth company contracts generally or has their own medical professionals on staff that do the actual intake and meeting with clients, etc., and doing the evaluation and reading labs, etc. And they work with generally accredited pharmacies. So pharmacies that are accredited 503A compounding pharmacies and are approved by their state, etc. When you're talking about, let's just take a med spa, for example, and I spoke about this in a previous video, you have no idea where that medicine is coming from. You have no idea if that person just went in the back and mixed some salt with some, saline and put it in the syringe. I mean, you have absolutely no idea where that liquid that they are injecting you has come from. So I really want to stress that what I am talking about are legitimate telehealth providers, okay? I will talk about my specific telehealth provider and why I chose them, because I was with a different provider and why I made the switch in my next week's video that comes out next Tuesday. So stay tuned for that. There's a link in my bio if you are interested in it. I'll just say right now, I use Friday's Health. So if you are interested in checking out Friday's Health, there is a link in my bio. If you use the code Lisa when you check out, you do save $20 on your first month with Fridays. However, like I said, I'm not going to go into Fridays specifically and why I chose them, because there were some very specific reasons why I chose to go with them. And that will be, like I said, a whole separate video that will talk about that. Today, I just want to talk about telehealth providers in general and sort of the things that they can offer and why that could be a benefit to you if you are talking about going on a GLP-1 medication. So the first reason that you might want to use a telehealth company is perhaps you have gone to your own, personal healthcare provider, your PCP, and maybe they're just not very familiar with GLP-1 medications. While yes, some of the medications have been around since, 2005, 2006, mostly for diabetics, clinical obesity aspect of these drugs is a newer use. And some physicians just aren't familiar with it and therefore may not be comfortable prescribing that type of medication for you. Another reason may be perhaps your provider might be willing to prescribe it, but they don't really want to go through the pre-authorization process that most insurance companies unfortunately now require, because it's a lot of work. They have to fill out paperwork. A lot of times there are then denials and then you have to appeal. And that could be a lot of work for their back office to handle. And, perhaps if you're somewhere in maybe more of a rural area where, it's just sort of a, in the world of attorneys, we like to call them solo practitioners. But, if it's just a doctor who's on their own and, only maybe has one administrative type person who's handling billing and checking people in and making appointments and all those things, like they just may not have the bandwidth to handle what you need in order to get that pre-authorization paperwork completed accurately so that you can get your medication approved. So that's sort of the first reason that I think a telehealth company could be a good option. The second reason is, like me, and the reason why I went the telehealth route is that my insurance company doesn't cover GLP-1 medications. And I was not willing to spend $1,200 a month to get the name brand drug when I was able to go with a reputable telehealth company that uses reputable compounding pharmacies and get my medicine for a fraction of the price. And maybe that's the situation that you're in too. Your insurance does not cover name brand medication and you still want to take the medication and not pay that huge out-of-pocket cost. You obviously still have to pay for the compound medicines, but the compounding medicines are generally run about a third of the cost of the name brand. So if that's the situation that you're in, a telehealth company is a great solution. So the last two reasons here are, in my mind, probably the most important. The first is you want flexibility in your medication. What do I mean by that? Let's say you are somebody whose insurance may cover, at least in some regard, the name brand medication. And so you really do want to be on name brand. Like that is your first desire, is to use, name brand Mounjaro or Zepbound or Ozempic or Wegovy if you're talking about semaglutide, okay? Or maybe your insurance doesn't even, provide for it. It doesn't cover it, but you're willing to pay the $1,200 or whatever it is out of pocket for those name brand medications. But you also know that there are huge shortages out there right now, and it is getting really hard for people to get that name brand medication. Just about every dose is listed as in shortage on the FDA shortage list. People are still having a really, really hard time finding that medication. They are calling pharmacies, day after day, spending hours on the phone. They are having to drive hundreds of miles, sometimes into different states, to go get their medication because they finally find a pharmacy that's 300 miles away and, they are able to get their prescription from them. And then they have to make sure that their doctor can reroute their prescription and forwarded it to that other pharmacy, etc. Or sometimes they need their doctor to phone in a different prescription dosage because, you're supposed to be on 7.5, but 7.5 is available, but 5.0 is, so you have to go through that. So while you may want to take the name brand medication, and you can do that through many of the telehealth companies. Now, that is one thing that I would make sure that you check into as you are reviewing different telehealth companies. And I can tell you from, not personal experience because I haven't taken the name brand, but I do know for certain that Friday's Health does allow this. So they can prescribe both name brand and compounding. And the nice thing about that is, like I said, let's say your, sort of heart's desire is really to be on the name brand and you are either, you're willing to pay out of pocket for it or your insurance covers part of it, but then you just can't find your medication. You can pivot on a dime with a telehealth company like Friday's to then get compound. So if you have spent hours upon hours trying to find your dose and you can't find it, all you have to do with a telehealth company that does work with both name brand and compounding is just, simply send a message in the portal saying, I want to switch to compounded medicine for this coming month, and they can do that. And you are not going to be then in a situation where lots of people are finding themselves where they're either, one, not able to find their medicine at all and are having to either, stretch out dosages or skip a dose, etc., or having to change doses when they really don't want to. Maybe you're on 7.5 and it's working amazing for you, but you can't get 7.5, but you can get 10, but you really don't want to titrate up to 10 because you're doing great on 7.5, and from my previous video of one of the myths is that you should really try to stay on a dose that's working for you as long as possible. So you don't want to move up when you don't need to. So in that particular case, if you want to stay on 7.5 and you can't find it, when you're with a telehealth company that provides both options, all you have to do then, maybe it's just for a month. Maybe you just take the compounded version for a month, and then that allows you time to find the 7.5 in the name brand. And so then the next month you can do that. But that's what a telehealth provider who does both is just, in my mind, one of the best reasons why you should go with a telehealth company is the flexibility of getting whatever kind of medication you want. So the final reason why I think a telehealth company is incredibly beneficial to really anybody is that some of them have some really comprehensive programs. And in my mind, things that I think are really important in order to ensure that you are successful in the long run. Now, the first thing that many of them have, if they are able to provide both name brand prescriptions and compound, is that they can help you with pre-authorizations, right? So as I mentioned, I think in number one, maybe your physician just isn't willing to do that. Many of these telehealth companies, like I said, who work with both name brand and compounding, have whole dedicated staff who fill out pre-authorization forms. And this is what they do day in and day out, guys. They know what needs to be on the forms. They know what is going to work. So they can fill them out for you. And then if it gets denied, again, they are very familiar with the appeal process and trying to get you through that. So I think that is huge as a benefit to being with a telehealth company. But the other things that I really want to talk about, like I said, I sort of think about as the three legs of a stool, right? Of a three-legged stool. And without one of those three, your stool tips over. So the first thing that I think is critical is nutrition counseling. Okay, some that may be in the form of a one-on-one meeting with a dietitian, that may be in a group, sort of Zoom call situation where you're able to get on with a dietitian. Maybe they have a presentation of, what are the best forms of protein, or, how to maximize protein in every meal. I'm just coming up with random topics here, people. But, and then you have the ability to ask questions, or maybe you are encountering a specific issue that you can bring up during those times. But again, nutritional counseling is something that in general, you either have to pay extra for if you are, just going through your regular with your health insurance. And so again, that would be an extra cost to you. Most of these telehealth companies have some form of nutrition counseling that is a part of their program. The second leg of the stool is mental health coaching. Now, I don't mean, one-on-one therapy. That's not what I'm talking about. That's certainly not going to be generally within the purview or expertise of a telehealth company. But there are some, I will say Fridays is one of them, that will have, let's say, like I said, mental health coaching, where again, you can get on a Zoom kind of support group and get questions answered. There are so many things that we deal with as we lose weight that, aren't really to the level of needing like full-blown therapy. Like, we don't really need to talk to somebody one-on-one, but there are things that a lot of us deal with that are common, that are just great to talk about and get some feedback in how to handle certain things. So, maybe it's how do you handle your spouse or family members who are trying to sabotage your success. Maybe it's, how are you handling negative feedback from people who think that what you're doing is wrong and you shouldn't be taking this medication, or people who think that you're taking the easy way out taking this medication. Again, sort of talking about those things and getting ideas of how to handle that in a way that doesn't affect your mental health negatively. Some people have an issue on this medicine dealing with sort of the loss of eating, right? For a lot of us, eating was comfort. Eating was taking the place of something that you were maybe missing in your life. And so dealing with some of those emotions of maybe grieving the fact that you don't have that anymore is something that many of us are dealing with, and something that is just perfect to talk about in a group session. What I also really like about these kind of group counseling or group coaching sessions for mental health type, issues, is it's not a Facebook group, guys, okay? I mean, I think there's a lot of good things that happen in Facebook groups, but I also think there's a lot of really negative troll type people who sit behind their keyboard and just think they can say whatever they want because there's no face to it. And they can just be horrible to some people when they're trying to ask for some help. When you're on a Zoom call in a group mental health coaching session, people aren't going to do that, right? We all talk about, on the internet and cyberbullying and things, that if you were face to face with somebody, the likelihood that they would say to you what they typed in a comment to you is probably 0.5%. 5% chance, right? People don't have that much, as we would say in Yiddish, chutzpah, okay? They just don't have it. But behind a keyboard where nobody can see them, they are more than happy to share very, very negative things about how they feel about what you're saying. And so this kind of program can really allow you to talk about those things in a safe space. The final thing, the third leg of that stool, is fitness. Now again, not all telehealth companies have that. Obviously, you need to do your investigation into different telehealth companies and what they provide as a part of their program. But again, for a lot of people who have been obese or severely overweight for a long time, many of us haven't stepped foot into a gym in a long time. And that's a scary thought. But if you have, as a part of your program, let's say workouts that are specifically focused on workouts at home, so maybe you can ease into it and start adding some movement back into your routine, because we all know that maintaining muscle and building muscle are crucial to your continued and long-term success. And so maybe, like I said, they have a home program that you can focus on until you get more comfortable and you're more accustomed to working out. And then maybe eventually you transition to a gym, right? You've gotten sort of past what you can do at home and you're really enjoying working out and the benefits of it. And now you want to go to a gym. But again, look at all the machines. They're very intimidating. You see, some of these big, giant, buff guys that are, pumping huge things of weights on barbells, and it can be very overwhelming and very scary. So if you have a telehealth company that has, like I said, a fitness program that then can also help you navigate the gym, another huge benefit. So like I said, I think those three things are just a really great benefit if your telehealth company has that option. So that's it. Those are the kind of main 4 reasons why I think investigating or using a telehealth company could be really beneficial to you. I hope that was helpful to you. If you have any questions just about telehealth companies in general, please drop those comments below. I'm happy to try to help. If you have any specific questions about Friday's Health, I will certainly be happy to answer those as well. But like I said, I will be doing a full video on Friday's Health and why I chose to switch to them in my next Tuesday video. So make sure that you are subscribed and have your notification bell turned on so you get notified about that video if you would like to hear more in depth. But if you can't wait and you have questions now, like I said, certainly drop those in the comments and I am more than happy to help. If you enjoyed the video, I would love it if you would give it a thumbs up. It does help the YouTube algorithm. By the way, I do have a new Instagram specifically for this channel and my weight loss journey. It is just the same name as my channel, except it is a_little_less_Lisa, because you can't use spaces on Instagram. So a little less Lisa with underscores in between each word. I will have it on the screen here, and I will also have it linked in my description box. So make sure you check that out and come follow me over on Instagram. I would love to see you there. And if you haven't had enough of me yet, I will pop another video up here for you to watch. And remember, kindness and hate spread the same. The choice is yours. I'll see you in the next video, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.